Modern Male Radio with Jerod Zavistoski, right here on LA Talk Radio.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Jerod Zavistoski, and you're listening to and watching Modern Male Radio. This is all the stuff your mama should have told you and the stuff your daddy never knew. And joining me tonight, as always, my co-host, Sarah Chapman.
Hi, everybody. Or it's Sarah Beth Harris, but I'm wondering when the day is going to come when you're going to be like, Sarah Beth Harris.
Yeah, Sarah Beth Harris. Well, you know what? I honestly, me and Sam were just discussing putting your name on the show.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah, so
thanks,
we were like,
thanks.
But I didn't even think about that. You know, there's a lot to think about. Especially today on today's show.
There are a lot of guests to think about now.
Yeah. So please do introduce our guests.
I would love to introduce our guest, Jerod. Josh Bocanegra from Humai, founder, CEO. Yes, and yes?
Yes.
Okay,
that's all
get it right. Good. And Jeanine Fuentes, lovely as ever, my dear.
Thank you very
much. And wearing way more comfortable shoes than I am. Can I just say that right now?
Absolutely.
Smart lady. Marketing specialist for Humai, yes.
Yes.
That's where I recognize you from. I was like, why do I know her? Yeah, it's marketing. Okay.
Well, you'll recognize her from most of the promotional photos that we have. Or actually, when you go on the website, the background photo is
as it should be. She's gorgeous.
So.
Oh wait, you're the girl.
Yeah.
You're the robot-looking girl.
Yeah, that's me.
That's why. Yeah.
He's like, where have I seen you?
Yeah, which is it's kind of like a double-edged sword because I'm like whenever I run into somebody that I'm like, man, you look familiar. It's kind of a dangerous road to go down because I'm like, fuck. Well,
you don't know
which period of my life did I meet you in, and like, should I bring that up, and should we be remembering that right now?
You look like that one night. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Nope, not you. Nope, sorry.
Remember that night when that thing happened? Yeah, no, it's bad. So this is really, really cool, guys. Modern Male Radio. I mean, usually we talk dating and male edification and all that stuff, but today we get to talk about something that's just worlds and worlds and worlds more cool, I guess you could say. We get to talk about
definitely expand the life form of all of those things that we normally talk about.
We get to talk about the possibility of immortality. Which is something that I think everybody on Earth should be curious about. Yeah.
Yeah.
To say the least, right?
Yeah. Just a little bit, just
should at least be curious.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, people, I have a good question. What about people who want to commit suicide? They're probably not curious of it. So how would would that actually change the rate of suicides to tell people like, hey, guess what? Improve the quality of your life and you can live forever. And
way to just dive into the deep end, Sarah.
I don't need to stick a toe in here.
Okay, so let me say.
It's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. So
just pop it off the top of my head.
A sociologist by the name of Emil Durkheim found that the only correlating factor between all suicides worldwide was a feeling of social isolation. Chemical imbalances, things like that, can make you feel more and more socially isolated. Yeah. But it's interesting at what point is it suicide if it's simply a brain inside a bionic body? I mean, is it suicide or is it simply anymore? Like, I think I'm done,
Yeah,
click.
Like I want to be here anymore.
Yeah, it's just like, well, this was fun. I lived for 200 years. I'm out. Like, does it become, when life is no longer fleeting and we have that option, will life become so, will it become such a big deal to die? Well, achieving or creating the
option to
the
live
option
forever.
of immortality, it could make death an even bigger deal, or it could make it a smaller deal.
Yeah,
Sure.
true.
So it's just interesting.
It's a really interesting corner. I'm not quite sure.
I look forward to talking about this. I mean, we're gonna spend decades on this. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Very long time.
Yeah. So we've got all sorts of awesome questions here, and I did send some of these to you, but this is the first time on Modern Male Radio that we're actually just gonna read off questions. I'm gonna give Sarah the sheet here.
They're like super handwritten too. I mean, we're like going
Hey, don't
back
show
in the
them
day.
my handwriting. It's not the best, okay?
I like this first one.
I had a girl pick up a letter that I wrote, and she started laughing, and I was like, "What's wrong?" And she goes, "You write like a child." I was like, "Fuck you." All right, so Josh, tell us.
Compliments.
Well,
like
let's fill people in because people watching right now might be like, "What the fuck are they talking about?"
Yeah, but it's on the table, right? Like we have the signage here.
Yeah. So Humai is like right here. We got the little thing. So explain what Humai is. What's your mission statement? What are the goals?
What we want to do is transplant a brain into a bionic body. And the reason why we want to do that is because our biological body is kind of Well, it's limited because we can get diseases. It can wear off over time. And
That's
I
why
think,
I'm drinking water instead of beer. So
Yeah, I mean,
you could change the game for me. I could go back to beer if I have the option to live longer.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
Get this together, Josh.
I would probably drink more beer too. That's on the
Right?
questionnaire actually.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you
continue.
can drink more beer.
When
if
can I
you're-
be a miserable drunk again, Josh Bocanegra?
Yeah, no, I was talking about.
kidding,
We'll
just
get to
kidding.
that question, but one of the things that makes us human are the experiences that we have that are pleasurable.
Right.
So what happens when you're in a bionic body? You don't need to eat or drink anymore, but like that's kind of like what makes us happy. So what happens to Bud Light Lime when we have a bionic body? I mean, is beer? Can we get drunk?
Just be
can we
like,
just be drunken asshole robots running around? Like, how does that work?
Well, you know how beer and any kind of drugs, or in general, they have like a chemical reaction that make you feel a certain kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So I suspect that there will be other ways to create chemical reactions that will make you feel good or
So Bud Light Lime without buying it.
Maybe I should be
Just-
the guinea pig for that experiment. Because I feel like I would be able to contribute some pretty good. Yeah, I'd be able to do that for you.
Well, and that's really interesting, that point, because once you've got this bionic body, you've got a brain in there, then all you have to do is stimulate nerve impulses. And I guess, people could kind of be like, oh my God, what is that? Like, that's not real. But the fact that it's not real actually frees up a lot of resources, or, and what is real, really? Everything is just a chemical reaction in your brain.
Yeah,
And that point could be argued
6
Completely.
ways to Sunday. Sure could.
6 Ways to Sunday. So it's really, really interesting when all of a sudden you don't need anything. You don't need to go work, and do all this stuff to go buy this pack of, beer to bring home and have fun with. You can literally just push a button or upload this, whatever the chemicals are. But I mean, I'm sure that stuff's going to cost an arm and a leg. I mean,
Will we need to sleep?
So the brain is the only kind of biological thing you'll have left, and that still needs the typical stuff such as nutrients and
Oxygen.
as far as sleep, I was thinking about that, and the thing is, when we do sleep, our brain doesn't necessarily sleep.
It doesn't turn off.
Kind of.
Yeah.
We're still-
So it'll be interesting, and I'll actually pose this question to one of the neuroscientists that we have in our team, because we don't talk about conceptual things too often. Although it is important, and we'll talk about them more as time goes on. But yeah, I mean, what do we need to sleep? There's an article I think on Vice that talked about sleep as a disease, and it was written by a guy named Zoltan, and I forgot his last name.
nice.
This guy is particularly interesting because he was running for president, and he
Hail Zoltan. Wait,
formed-
that is from a movie, actually.
So
Oh, really?
Yeah, the name I think it's Zoltan or Zotar, whatever.
Zoltaire, probably, or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's an interesting name. So
It is.
And he's actually he framed himself as the anti-death candidate
Yeah.
for next presidential election, I think. So
Interesting.
yeah, he's worth looking up because he's an interesting guy.
Okay.
He
So
doesn't sleep a lot, does he? That one. Thinks sleep is a disease. I
Probably
mean,
not.
He wrote the
Just
article,
assume
and I glanced through it. I didn't get to read the whole entire thing, but he did make some good points about how we don't actually need to sleep. We just need to change some of the biological functions that we have in our body, because we may not need to. I believe there's creatures now that don't sleep.
yeah. What is it? Sharks. They always constantly
Yeah,
swim.
they have to move, otherwise they
And
sink to the
I think
bottom.
whales never entirely sleep either. They kind of like half of the brain shuts off, so to speak, and then half of it doesn't.
And crocodiles too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of float around, and then their vision, they have like an eye that's always kind of watching, and whenever movement comes, then it wakes up and bites.
Like me.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, I imagine us, like, when I think of sleep, obviously we need to sleep because we need to kind of like recharge our energy as humans, as biological beings. But I feel like once we are in a bionic body, as a means for sleep would be almost like recharging our whatever it is.
1 hour, 2 hours.
that keeps us going.
Yeah.
If we need to recharge or retune any of the parts of our body that need that, then
That's cool. Yeah, no, I love that. Because me and sleep, man, we don't get along. I hate
Since
to.
when, Jared?
Shush.
You love sleeping.
Seriously, I hate to sleep. I hate the idea of sleep.
I don't.
But once I'm asleep, I mean, God help you can't wake me up. I'm done. And then I'll wake up and I'll be like, nah, fuck this consciousness shit. I'm going back to sleep. So me and sleep, we've had an uphill battle for a long time. So it'll be really, really interesting to see if we could like kind of curb that down.
Yeah, I mean,
bypass it altogether.
I feel the same way about sleep. I mean, I wish I didn't have to sleep as much. At least, I mean, I don't mind taking breaks, obviously. I mean, but sleeping and purposely being unconscious, or not even like you have to. It's not even like you have a choice. Is kind of and I think you can die.
I mean,
if you don't sleep, so.
imagine what you could do if you didn't have to sleep. How productive you could be. You know,
or if you didn't have to rest. Period.
Right. It's just,
I think about how much your body actually weighs you down, and like today is a classic example. I went and wrestled with a bunch of dudes, and we like
tough guy
we got like really tough with each other, and we just like jiu-jitsu'd it out. And then afterwards, like I got home and I was like really tired, and I just sat on the couch for like 2 hours and was like, yeah, that was cool. So I'm just saying that like if I didn't have to do that, I could have done something productive today. And it would have been like awesome, you know what I'm saying?
We know what you're saying.
Who even was that right then? But okay, yeah.
I think I developed a new one.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Yeah.
Maybe you should sleep less, and we'll have some more characters.
Yeah, I only got like 3 hours of sleep today.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
The creative genius. Yeah. Have you guys noticed that? The creative genius kind of flows out of like between 3 and 6 hours of sleep.
That's kind of funny.
True.
I mean, that actually does happen to me.
Yeah.
It's like that weird stream of like you don't hesitate as much.
Yeah.
You get that super stream of consciousness thing going on.
Yeah. No,
interesting. So we got more questions. You want to go?
Sure, I'll go. If I can read your writing, you're probably gonna have to go first. I just.
Oh, she got jokes. That's funny. So funny, Sarah.
No, I actually. Are we gonna have superpowers if we don't have like the normal limbs and things that are failing us?
That's a really good question because it's So third-party developers, I believe, are going to be able to create things for our body that will enhance it. We're not going to be the ones to do that because we got to create the body first and master that. But I think that over time, other people would. It's kind of like accessories for your phone.
Yeah, it's gonna be like apps.
Right.
Yeah, and that seems like it's going to be in the cards for this. People are going to want changes in their body, and I think developers will be able to create that and ultimately create new business and new industries from
It'd be really, really cool to have like a whole bunch of stuff that your body could do, but at the same time, like if you have the same brain, we're gonna have like a real discrepancy in robotic intelligence because there's gonna be some dumb robots running around just like what is that?
Yeah, like what would the boob job, what would the Humai boob job be? Like that app,
interesting thing,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
you can update your body. I mean, you can essentially choose how you want to look.
So we're gonna have some insta skanky robots or something running around.
I suppose. I mean, you might have to pay a little extra for the material, but
yeah, our robots going to have sex?
We have to.
Yeah.
We have to.
Do we need sleep? Do we need sex?
There, right?
Yeah.
No.
We have to emulate the human experience as much as possible.
As best as we can.
The whole point of wanting to live longer is because we love life.
Living.
I think the really cool thing about this is all of a sudden all the shortcomings of human beings are going to be suddenly just pulled out. I mean, yeah, we're going to have to go through the hurdles of putting a brain into a robot, but at the same time, like things like bad breath or bad hygiene or
do those exist anymore?
Those little things aren't going to matter as much, and you're going to be able to almost program your own attraction level. I mean, are there going to be any bad-looking robots
or smelly ones?
I think if you have the option to enhance your body and customize it, with, again, third-party developers, then you'll be able to create certain preferences of how you want to look, which some people may like and some people may not like.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. So if you don't have taste, like if you walk into your house right now and it just looks like crap, then chances are that's gonna transfer to the other.
Right.
Which is subject to that person's brain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, absolutely.
It'll make
interesting.
each person kind of unique.
Individuality would exist because it simply does.
Yeah. Just
people
by
will
itself.
cater to whoever they're attracted to.
Their standards of beauty.
Sure. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's not everybody's not carbon copied and everything. It can be individualistic. And it's like your iPhone.
Yeah. Well, the default body is what we want to work on, and then everything else will come secondary.
Yeah.
By default, I mean like if it's just your iPhone without a case, someone else will come in and add to it. but we're not really working on kind of creating individual bionic bodies. They will all look the same as default. But
You guys are developing like the iPhone right now.
I mean, you're
guys are,
just
like,
too
trying
busy
to
working
figure it
on
out.
actual immortality to figure
Yeah.
out what you're going to
Yeah.
look like for the
Yeah.
rest of
Yeah.
eternity.
yeah,
that's
that's honestly
That's just
what
a
we.
small task
Yeah.
at hand.
So I mean, and it's crazy because the more questions we ask, the more questions that come, and it's like it's you know it's a little spooky because it's like, oh wow, you know, like the future is like what, like nobody, you know, we all kind of think of like maybe there's a heaven or maybe there's a hell or maybe there's some afterlife or something, but like I never like sat down and thought about the idea that like, oh yeah, you might be a robot one day.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that didn't cross my mind. I don't think ever.
You know, because what we're ultimately doing is not only creating a new body, we are creating an entire new world ultimately, because where these bodies or people are going to live at, and how would they shop, and how would that change other things.
They certainly won't need to buy beds. Or
Yeah, sure, I know. We've been thinking
soap.
about that too. So it depends on what the brain needs and what the bionic body needs.
It's going to be like the internet. When the
Yeah.
internet came out and it just completely changed the world and all of the industries had to change immediately.
Yep.
This is going to be the
It'll
same thing.
affect every industry.
And once an idea has been like you do get that
Implanted,
because you're implanting this and you're pushing it out there into the world right now, that it has no choice but to grow. It's going to expand. It's like you can't stop it if you tried.
So-
You hear that? You hear that? You can't stop this.
Let's talk about that though. Who is trying to potentially throw some curveballs to stop it, to give you heat? It's very
Oh, boy.
controversial.
Yeah,
So
this
of
is
course-
exciting.
Absolutely.
You know, since we're still early stage for the most part, we've only been having to deal with conspiracy theorists and
Religious people, very religious.
religious
Any
people
problems with that
have.
a little bit?
You know, what's interesting to me is that conspiracy theorists are a little bit more intense than the religious people. I suspect that most religious people actually do want to live long. I mean, I think they do by principle. They want to live after they die.
Yeah.
Except, you know, they never thought about still living in a robotic form. So it's kind of
Yeah.
a brand new idea for them. They do take issue with some of the wording, such as like, you know, reinventing the afterlife and some of the stuff that we said before.
Yeah.
But it's the conspiracy theorists in general who think that, I mean, there's literally like a documentary that says that we're working with the Illuminati and stuff like that.
Oh wow, we made it to documentary already?
Yeah,
We
there's a
did.
documentary already. Yeah,
Yes.
we gotta wait till it comes out on Netflix.
You know what? I'm just gonna put it out there to the conspiracy theorists that put my name up on that whole thing.
Oh,
like
yeah.
when they listed everybody
Oh,
and they got
we should talk about that because they basically did a whole petition on
Ah.
change.org.
Oh, wow.
To stop Humai because they're claiming that we're doing human cloning. And after they published that petition, they did an update where they said, hey, here's all the people involved or associated with Humai, which included your name, her name, and other people in the team.
but I got somebody
My name's going to be on there too this next
yeah,
next round.
yeah,
huh?
you're famous now.
Hi.
Coming up.
But but they singled me out and they were like,
Let's do it.
oh, we don't know if he's actually a clone or a part of the company. He could just be a hired spokesmodel.
Right.
You know what? Fuck you, okay? I am a clone. How you like me now?
Oh, my God.
There are 50 of me.
They're going to take that so literally.
Good,
They are.
good. There are literally 50 of me.
I-
You can go back to old shows and you can watch Scotty come out. You can watch DeAndre come out. You can watch all of the different personality types that I have come out on camera.
he does have quite a few of them.
Yeah, I'm also a reptilian or so, whatever the fuck that is. Yeah,
Shape-shifting.
yeah.
reptilian.
Just going into
Oh,
it.
jeez. Hey, you might
Whatever
as
that
well.
is. Yeah. Wait, what's another like really good? I'm an alien. Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, a
Yeah,
reptilian is an alien, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or-
so
Or I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, reptilian. Anyone who's white is comes from a lizard family, reptilians, and
Yeah.
Are I can't really say this in a serious way.
yeah.
I'm just saying what they
So
say.
ridiculous.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah. So aliens, reptilians. So we got Illuminati, elite class. I guess that's similar to, or that is the Illuminati.
I can't say that I have enough money to belong to the Illuminati. They have contacted me, but I didn't, or I contacted them, but I didn't really make the cut because, unfortunately, you know, you have to be like a millionaire to get in. It's like a special club. You have to have done something impressive. So,
Right.
I can't claim that, but alien still got that, right?
Might be
Yeah, so I'm sure this little segment of this is going to get cut out and the whole world's going to. But you know what? You know what's great about conspiracy theorists is they spend so long knocking on beating these dead horses that's like even their own friends don't give a shit anymore. They're like, even people that like want to believe in conspiracy theories are like, you're full of crap. Nobody cares. Because I think, and as we're conspiracy theorists, let me give you guys some advice. If you're going to move forward with a conspiracy theory, check your facts. It's that simple. We all have Google. Really, just look up the information, make sure that it's solid, and then present it. I'm a really, really big fan of good conspiracy theories. But the conspiracy theory that we're clones is sadly a very bad one because, sorry, we're not clones.
Yeah.
I would love to
that's
have
what
like 8 of
Clone
me
would
running
say.
around,
He
though.
definitely would love that.
Like, seriously, if I could clone, let's do this. Let's do this. It'll be like multiplicity up in this.
You know, you know what kind of started this whole cloning stuff was when B.O.B., the rapper, he tweeted. It was going on this whole rant about human cloning.
Was he the one that said that the Earth was flat?
Yeah. Aside from that,
Okay.
he was also talking about human cloning and stuff like that. And he shared a link to an article about Humai that I forgot what the article was about, but they mentioned that Humai is working on transferring your conscience to human clones. So the information was inaccurate anyways.
Okay,
and
yeah.
B.O.B. shared it, and he has influence, and so a bunch of people, I guess, retweeted that. And
Is it B.O.B. like Bob, or is it B.Y.O.B. like bring your own booze?
B.O.B. has in Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
so-
and there's another, I guess, a model or an actress named Tila Tequila.
Tequila.
Oh my
She's
god.
super heavy with the human cloning stuff. She even, I think, said she's a clone. So, you know,
Yeah.
all these guys work together to help spread this even further.
We don't need more duplicates of that.
Oh.
Of her.
Unless she's
Yeah.
going to come on the show and talk about all this kind of stuff. That'd be kind of cool.
We could get her on here to talk about clones. I think
Yeah.
that we would. I'm not sure what it would
Does
do
she
for the
live-
show.
If she lives in LA, that'd be
Yeah.
right?
No, I know exactly who she is. Yeah. So I mean, let's actually get serious for a second, and we'll give you an opportunity to actually
serious
like.
now.
Humai is taking an existing brain of a human being and being able to, at some point in the near future, be able to go, hey, I would like to live a little bit longer. I'm gonna put my brain into a synthetic body, and it would be your brain, your consciousness. And I think what's the biggest argument against that? The existence of a soul, or what does that do? Or
Well, you know, when you mention religious people, I think the main issue they have is actually the idea of a soul. So they're it's not even an argument. They just say, oh, I don't know if the soul is in the brain or not.
yeah, where is the soul?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got soul for you. I don't know.
You know,
No problem finding Jerod's soul once he makes the transplant. It's there.
Yeah.
You know,
Singing out of
what are your
every
thoughts about
bionic
the
part.
soul? Like, because when I think about the soul, I just don't know what they're talking about. Like, I mean, it literally blocks my mind because I'm not sure like if they mean the soul.
Well, I remember that we were like having a conversation about it at the house, and we were talking about that if the soul is something that's supernatural, how could it take physical form? Like, does the soul leave your body once in a while and come back?
Is that 28 gram principle?
If the soul
Right,
is
right.
in your heart, if you have a heart transplant and put it in someone else, does someone else have your soul?
It was
essentially?
obviously not in your heart.
Like,
so
you know, and if your brain is your consciousness, and if someone shoots you in the head, then you're dead. Is it your soul? Is your soul in your brain, or do just people think consciousness is your soul?
Yeah.
What if my soul's in
very-
my forearm? Like, seriously.
Yeah,
It's like-
so complex.
It could be.
That is the
Right.
part of you that does the most work, you know.
It
You're
does.
grabbing,
Look, I
grabbing
even
those
hurt
people.
myself this week. So, yeah. I
You
have
know-
a lot of soul in that arm. I really do.
You know, I would think that if the soul isn't part of your body, which I assume that's what they'll try to claim, it's just supernatural and it kind
Yeah,
of
spirity thing.
I guess I don't know, man, functions with inside your body, but it's not physical. Then you know, why not? Why can't the soul just travel along with your brain and
Exactly.
be in the body anyways?
And I think I figured out a good logical reasoning to kind of define that, because right now you can grow organs in a lab and you can have stem cell implants organs. So if you got a heart transplant, we know that the soul obviously is in the heart. Otherwise you'd go from like, you know, dying and you'd wake up and you'd be like, oh, I love you. Or you'd wake up and be like, who the fuck, you know, like you
Yeah.
wouldn't know who you were.
Exactly.
So, and these people, you know, when people wake up, they know who they are. So you can literally transplant every organ in the body,
Right.
and get the same result. The only thing that we haven't transplanted is the brain.
Right.
So, by reason and by what is it? What is the terminology called?
Trial and error.
Logic. The steps of
Logical progression.
Yeah, whatever the scientific method of logic, whatever. I'm really not doing a good job at explaining this, but it would stand to reason that your brain is the thing.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that hasn't been tested yet. So everything else is interchangeable.
Sure.
And if we get to a point where we can actually take the brain and put it in something else or transplant it and it survives and it recognizes things, well, then we know that it's got to be the brain, you know?
Yeah, if a soul exists.
If the soul exists.
Well, for that reason, if everything works well, they'll just say the soul is in the brain, but they still won't deny that the soul doesn't exist either.
They can keep it if they want it.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'll just get a
the
new one.
ideal
Okay.
of the soul.
That would be cool. Could you imagine like being able to like trade in souls?
Yeah.
And you know what's really interesting?
As much as I can imagine any and all of this, anything's possible in this
Yeah,
scenario.
you could literally all of your habits, all the things that people spend so long in development of. I mean, the self-development would go completely out the window. All of a sudden, all of the stuff that people like try and train and habitually, you've got literally a body that you can program and it'll do whatever you tell it to do.
Yeah.
So
or not do whatever you tell it to. Because we have
smoking,
both of these ends of the
alcoholism.
spectrum.
I mean, you might still have an addictive personality, end up hitting that button too many times, whatever the button is that controls it.
How would addiction play into this?
Yeah, I mean, I suspect that there will be new drugs created that will cater to this kind of.
I would be a drunk robot. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, maybe they'll find. I mean, I heard that there's like someone created some kind of powder alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol vapor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know much
I'm
about
like,
it,
what?
but
You can pump it in through the air circulating system, and everybody in the room gets drunk as crap.
oh really?
Wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that about
Yeah,
that.
you can buy it as
That's
a
kinda-
shot vapor.
That's kind of frightening, actually.
Comes in like a little container, and you just open it and inhale it, and it's like,
Ah.
whoa.
No,
Yeah.
So with that being said, then if there's a way to get those chemicals into the brain, even when you're having your body, then you can ultimately feel anything that you would feel now, as far as drugs and alcohol.
However, we
Brilliant.
probably wouldn't want to cater to anyone who's addicted to anything because it's probably not good for you. You know?
Yeah, but then that goes into human freedom issues, and it's like
Yeah,
people
true.
like, I don't want to be addicted to that. I don't wanna be."
They'll make whatever it is and sell it underground or whatever.
So let's get to some pertinent questions because I do want this to not just be a funny show, but I want this to also be an educational.
Hey, this is
thing.
pretty educational.
So will the bodies be available for everyone?
Just as all technology, it'll be costly at first. And
Yeah.
I can't give it an exact number, but my main focus is to really make it as affordable as a vehicle. And,
Yeah.
And not as an upfront payment either. I think there should be monthly payments or a way to pay with life insurance.
Yeah, if you're giving somebody immortality, it's like you don't.
Got a while
yeah.
to probably make those payments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have time.
So it'll be incredibly accessible to people. I think a big thing is like, okay, so you're gonna have these robots running around with older brains, and how do you? I mean, is there a delegation process? Who gets a new body? Like, would criminals and crazy people? I would assume that.
Oh yeah, what's the process?
You could
for-
make the body stronger and kind of better and more efficient. I mean, why would you want to have the same physical limitations if you could suddenly have a brand new body and this body could do things, lift things, type things way faster? Like, why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah.
So, are you guys going to be able to regulate, police that? Is that a governmental thing? Is that not you guys' job? And then, will there be a process, a selection
who are
process?
the car salesmen at that point that walk you through your options and your price points and all that
That's an
stuff?
interesting question.
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as legislation, I mean, that's definitely not in our field, basically.
Yeah.
Although there's a lot of countries, and some countries are more willing to lean towards new technology more so than America, actually.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it might be available in another country before it becomes available in others. But in time, I think governments will learn what works and what doesn't. And
Yeah.
so I think when a technology is available, there's going to be still a time period where they have to kind of figure out what things they might have to work out in terms of laws to really make it fair for everybody. That's the
Okay.
underlying principle of
Yeah.
everyone is to make sure it's fair. So yeah, I mean, we do have a political scientist on our team. And
Nice.
Yeah, and so he's actually part of his work is to talk to other government officials and start thinking about those stuff now, because I mean, we should
Address the problems as they come.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we were talking about or there was an article that one of the ambassadors shared on resources, and I kind of wanted to go over that because that was really a turning point for me. It was like, oh wow, when they were talking about this article basically drew it all out, and it's on Humai's page, right?
Yeah, it's by B.J. Murphy.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to explain that to people?
These guys
About overpopulation.
Yeah, about the idea of overpopulation, what it means in terms of impact for resources, and how will it allow us to maybe advance technologically. I mean, if we have the ability to not sleep, and we have the ability to suspend our need for oxygen for extended periods of time, we can do a lot of crazy things.
Throughout history, technology has always made us more efficient and more able to do more. I mean, such as, going out even to space and exploring other planets. We can't do that right now because of limited resources.
And we die.
Right.
Yeah.
This is beating life. I mean, we become superior at this point, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we want to do as much as we possibly can, I assume, as humans, and explore as much as we can. Because, I mean, we can go out to space and find other life. That's a whole other thing that would be really interesting, and moving to other planets and stuff like that. And so right now it's hard because it's expensive, and some of the science is not there yet to keep humans alive long enough. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to resources, I think we're going to be able to help. We'll be able to help in different industries, such as the space program and everything else, because there's less resources to use.
Yeah.
And less money overall, because we don't need to spend so much money on agriculture and things like that. We can actually use the money now for more research and development towards the space program and others.
Yeah.
So
you covered that. You want one?
Well, I mean, kind of. I was just thinking of all the ways that we can die as humans. So this obviously wouldn't apply anymore. Death is just out the door. Are these forms destructible in any way? Like, how much is maintenance? Is there breakdown? Like all that kind of stuff.
So it's not necessarily like we're gonna achieve immortality exactly, because someone can ultimately throw you off a building and
destroy the machine.
Yeah, so that's what I want to know. Is if you can destruct the machine and it can be rebuilt or not, and what would actually ultimately destroy it.
There's advances in a field called nanotechnology, where they can go into any living organism. I mean, the technology is being worked on, so it's not there yet. But a lot of people suspect that within the next 20 years, it'll get to a point where, if let's say someone shoots you in the head and now you have a hole in your brain, nanotechnology will be able to go in and repair the cells that are not there now, and ultimately revive your brain. And that's happening with nanotechnology now, not in that level, but they're doing a lot of really amazing things even right now.
Well, that combined with stem cells, it's like,
of course.
World's the oyster. What are you going to do?
No, absolutely. And even some advances in cloning technology. I mean, I don't want to even talk about cloning too much, but even in that field, there can be interesting ways to print particular parts of the brain that we might have to need in order to repair it.
Yeah.
So people may still be able to die for a while because of, I guess it depends on how much the brain is damaged.
Yeah.
I presume whoever designs the body is going to make it so that it's not easy to penetrate or get to any of the important parts that keep your brain functioning.
When we first started talking about this, I remember you were saying that you were going to develop, like right when you first had the idea, you were talking about developing a software that actually kind of like mapped the brain, the characteristics, who the person was, and then we could kind of replicate their mannerisms and stuff. It would be really, really interesting if you could like literally do that as like a backup drive. And it's like, all at any given time, essentially your essence is within that backup drive. And if something happens to the brain, you can just re-upload the consciousness.
If your brain crashes, then you've got a backup.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to understand
what makes you you.
Yeah, we have to understand a bunch of things before we can even do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people working on mind uploading and things of that nature. We're not focused on that, but people are focused on it. So I think we probably will be able to do backups. We're just not working on that specifically. But,
Yeah.
I mean, in 20 and 30 years, I think it's entirely possible.
Yeah, when we were having our meeting and we were talking on the message boards and stuff, just some of the ideas that were being shot out and things that are already in existence today that people are studying. It's just like, oh yeah, if you thought about it or imagined it, they're doing it right now.
Right.
It's so incredible.
Yeah.
So
and I'm over here trying to keep like an external hard drive alive for my laptop, and it's like partition fail, and you're like making immortality. I can't compete. Can't even like hit Best Buy the right way, let alone come up with my bionic being for the rest of all of existence.
You know, I mean, seriously, like, you know, aside from what we're doing, there's a lot of other things that's going on that's really cool too. Cool to say the least. And there's other, you know, of course, there's 3D printing, and they're printing artificial organs. There's things that are happening right now that I think a lot of people don't. Well, I know that a lot of people don't know about that can be really helpful. So
yeah.
All the conspiracy theorists out there are like, what? What is it?
Oh man.
What are your biggest hurdles right now? What are the biggest challenges? Where are you guys at now? Where do you see yourself, 5-10 years from now? What are the biggest hurdles? What's keeping you from achieving this?
We have to understand how to create an advanced life support system for the brain. Ultimately, that's what we're creating, is a life support system. It just takes shape of a bionic body, and it can be controlled with using brain waves from your brain.
So they just did that with human hearts.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that? Yeah, well, maybe you shared that article.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's right there, and the first human brain transplant is scheduled for.
So there's a head transplant actually.
Okay,
and
yeah.
that's scheduled for 2017.
Okay.
They have a donor already, and the neurosurgeon who's doing it, he's already successfully did it with I believe monkeys recently.
Yeah, and this is in Russia, right? This is Russian doctor, or where is this?
I'm not sure right now.
Who's donating their head?
So there's
That's a very generous donation.
a company that's completely
Very
unrelated to
generous.
Humai. A doctor managed to do a brain transplant, or a head transplant from a monkey to another monkey. The first human trial was scheduled for 2017.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it. Some dude actually volunteered for this.
Yeah. Well, the guy who volunteered, he's inactive in his body.
That's right. Yeah, he's got a degenerative muscle disorder or something. Gonna go head to another body. That'll be really, really interesting to see if that works. But
that's gonna be really important for Humai to understand what that surgeon learns from that. Even if he fails, he's gonna learn a lot.
Yeah, and I think that it's really, really important, I think, for our viewers and for everybody to kind of understand that it's not just Humai. Like, people are interested in this. It's happening now. It's in the air. And one, like we were talking about with uploading consciousness and avatars and all these different things, all these different branches, the future is going, in the future, death is going to be optional.
Absolutely.
And I think that there are a lot of people.
One way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny when you first brought it up, I was like, oh, well, why don't we go stem cells, organs, and then kind of infuse the bionic technology. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, wow, yeah, it does really make us more efficient if we are mechanical.
Yeah.
Because having organs just brings us back to that finite mortality.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's like, okay, full replay, you just kind of fix it as it goes along. It's like that old car that won't die, You've literally replaced everything on it 1,000 times. So what are the biggest, we kind of talked about your biggest critics. What about degenerative diseases? These are things that in the future, like, they're going to have like a probiotic for the brain to kind of just cure Alzheimer's. Like, I'm sure that stuff like this is going to go away. So it's kind of a stupid question.
Well, we're going to make a huge impact in the medical industry if all goes well, because now in medicine, all you have to do is focus on the brain now.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that will, I think, because of that, it will have exponential growth in the medical industry, because everyone will be just only focused on the brain for the most part.
Yeah, and then mechanical engineering and neuroscience are going to go.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely,
just through the roof. Yeah, and things have to change; they have to evolve.
My doctor's brain is going to have to change. I've been sitting over here trying not to crack jokes, but I'm like,
no, crack them.
This is too much. It was too much. The
Crack
guy
'em.
giving his head, there was head given, and
There was head given.
You may have my head.
Never mind. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Totally kidding.
Dude, it was,
No, we're good. We're good.
No. Please continue. If you have more jokes.
No, I didn't. I was sitting here.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I a lot of these questions are stuff that I know the answer to. Like obviously, they're in the near future. There's stuff that we don't know yet. You know, I was gonna ask you like how much of the human experience are we gonna be able to retain?
I can read that one from here. I'm over here like, yep, I can see.
I would think that the most important thing right now is just to get the transplant done, just to figure out the functionality.
Yeah.
And we worry about the questions later, right?
So, but I can answer some of the human experience questions.
Okay.
Sensor technology is really advancing too right now, and so I mean, when it comes to sex, you can have sex in his body if you just with the appropriate sensors in the right places.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna be the ones to work on that, but there's a lot of interesting technology now in the sex industry that I don't know too much about because I don't.
If you need a guinea pig for that experiment, I might be able to help you out at that point too. At some point.
Nice, Sarah.
You're welcome. I'm still here. You're welcome.
I volunteer to be the first human trial.
It's just like if
sexual
you
education.
need to like experiment with like with booze and robots and sex, I might be down for that.
I mean, as long as it's safe, right?
Is it safe?
Yeah, how heavy are they
robots
going to be?
Gonna get STDs?
Well, yeah, we're not gonna.
Forget it. Forget it. Not doing it. Nope.
You know, I suspect with leveraging technology, sex might ultimately be better.
Yeah.
Than how it is now.
Could be. You could customize it, ramp it up.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And I know that they're coming out with completely synthetic bodies that aren't connected to another human. They're not even, you know, it's literally like a robot for sex or sex toys or whatever.
Well, so one of the women who's on our team her name is Katie, and
that's what I was talking about specifically.
Yeah. Okay. So she's working. Her company is working on synthetic bodies that she calls companions.
Yeah,
for-
they're like
for
Furbies,
people.
but like people.
Yeah. and I'll in fairness
Where
too.
would I find one of these? Does that count? Will my mom be mad? Do you think, or would that like settling with one?
I don't know.
Those?
It depends on how real they look. But yeah,
Yeah.
they're anatomically
'Cause I need,
correct.
like, a life
They
partner.
respond
I
to
need,
you.
like,
They get
a
like
mate.
emotional and stuff.
Yeah,
I think.
that
You
might
know,
actually be a loophole.
The sex dolls that's available now are actually really realistic. And
Okay.
One company I think it's called Real Dolls. It's one
Oh.
company.
Real dolls, yes.
She knows.
I know because I made you watch the YouTube of the guy calling real dolls. It's so funny.
What?
He calls real dolls and he like asks.
He's denying all affiliation.
There's
with
this
knowing
hilarious.
about
I'm not
this.
here right now.
It's a viral video. The guy calls it. He's got a really funny voice. His character. He's like, yeah, I want the one with 2 exits and 2 entries. Come on. It's like super viral video.
Was I drunk?
Probably. It's like, can I
It's
get
like-
Don King afro for pubic hair?
It's
Come
like
on,
you
eh?
don't even know me.
I know. Gosh. I'm like, I'm drinking water. You're like so wrong.
Yeah. So
Right.
and yeah, I mean, not to make too much fun of it, 'cause I actually like read her website, the person that's on the team, the futurist, and it's interesting technology, and I think that, I mean, we might knock it now, but it's like, what an interesting alternative to porn to just kind of be able to purchase and program your companionship.
Sure. Well, you know, and in fairness too, she doesn't always. She doesn't necessarily think of it as sex robots. It's easier to kind of understand it in that way, but she thinks of it as truly companions.
I was thinking,
Yeah.
what an alternative to marriage. Like, bring on the Furby life
Oh,
partner.
Well, it's like, did you see her?
I don't care about
you
porn,
look at
but-
all these guys getting catfished and stuff like that.
Right.
A lot of people end up having like kind of virtual relationships and stuff, and
Yeah.
that need for connection. And I
I
almost
have.
think that sometimes it's better for some people to live in a fantasy.
Sure.
But this ties into a very all of a sudden the argument just got like really multi-sided, because then I would argue as modern male, I'd be like, okay, well, you're slacking in your development,
right.
get your
Right.
development done and you'll be able to have something. But you're offering, you can buy the technology to make you anything that you want to be.
This
You
makes
know,
modern male obsolete.
Yeah,
This
it kinda does.
situation.
Well,
Uh-oh.
I'd like to ask you about that because, you know, how would you envision the future with a bionic body and all the and just kind of like, I don't know, the rules of dating and all that? Like, how do you anticipate it changing in terms of like you know, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts as far as, because I know you focused heavily on dating and understanding women and men.
He's like the methodology of what the fuck do I do now with this? Because
Well, I think-
that's a heavy one.
I think it
Yeah.
depends entirely on if we're programmable. I mean, if it's a brain and a body, then it would still essentially be us.
Yeah.
And if it's still
Absolutely.
essentially us, Cool. But society will evolve, and society will evolve with this technology in place. So suddenly social constructs that were there before can break down. If we're able to program the brain, if we're able to
Upload information,
download information, kind of fix things that we don't want, patterns or habits or whatever, it could be a really good thing, because all of a sudden you can eliminate any of the problems that you were dealing with before.
Yep.
But it could be a bad thing, because you can completely wipe your identity and the things that a lot of people really feel like they need these social constructs and the way that they were nurtured and their nature and the way it builds. It gives them a sense of identity, and they hang on to that.
Kind of like the question where people ask you if you could go back in time and change one thing.
Yeah.
Would you? And
Yeah.
then that just...
It opens up a
would
whole
change
can
everything.
of worms, because it's like, well, what if that? Then this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And da-da-da. So it's going to be really, really interesting, because it's going to be a whole new ability for people. There's a freedom there.
Yeah.
And I think that article, like I love the technology. We've been talking about this for a while. But I think that article that I read today on the resources thing, it was just like, it really sunk in. It's like, holy shit, you're going to be completely free.
Right.
You're going to be free to live and learn as much as you can. You're going to be able to
Limitless.
experience anything, anything you want, because you're never going to run out of time to do it.
I suspect because of that, I think it will help with the crime rates and even war. I mean, there's always going to be.
You're not going to be desperate for resources and desperate to get this thing or.
Right.
Exactly.
I really would like to. I'm really curious to see how that will affect crime rates and all these things we just mentioned.
And will people actually be stronger? Would I be able to take something from you if we both have bionic bodies? It's like suddenly you're not at the mercy of genetics and evolution because you're smaller or less capable of fighting. It wasn't your interest. If we both programmed ourselves to be black belts in jiu-jitsu, or we had guns built into our arms or whatever it is, it's like, how often would you go around and, what would you do?
Where's the bullying and the power struggles and the physical, if there's no restrictions
And then what happens if the government gets a hold of this and goes, this one's getting angry, shut down. And everybody's on a global system, and it's like all they need to do is press a button, and this one's reaching a level 10. He's thinking, would they be able to monitor that?
That reminds me of that movie Surrogates, where they're all like, they just press a button and then all of their surrogate bodies just fall. But I don't imagine Humai being something like that where the government has.
We're not gonna cater to that at all.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna be the company that's gonna help that happen.
Yeah.
There's we're not gonna try to involve ourselves with the military.
This is for the people.
Yeah. I mean, this has to be really democratic, and I think our political scientist is gonna help with that and creating making sure that we can create laws that help everyone.
Go into this
makes
very
everything
smart,
fair.
pragmatically, have it already set out so that
Sure.
trying to eliminate as many mistakes in the trial and error process as possible. That's awesome.
Yeah, we can't have one person controlling everything. I mean, and being able to press a button and it can't
We
happen.
just want to keep you alive, like essentially, because our bodies are trying to destroy us every day.
So maybe you could actually be pre-programmed into the bionic bodies that you don't have the ability to take life. You just don't have it. You don't have it in you.
Well, and to be clear, that would be more of like a mind uploading kind of situation where you can program the brain.
Yeah.
So that would go back to mental illnesses and things of that nature, where
Like if you're just an evil
wipe
person,
somebody
and you
evil
get
out.
if you get a new body, you're still gonna want to do evil things. I mean, your brain is gonna control your body, so there's no necessarily programming. I think the programming will happen when it comes to updating your eyes or updating.
I expect the serial killers and the psychopaths would be get really bored, because they're you just go and what are you gonna do?
I just wonder if they would still. I wonder if they would still be evil after that, because I wonder if their needs will be met finally.
Maybe.
So and I just wonder. I don't know. I know there's chemical reactions and mental illness, and that's real. But I think also we're going to be able to cure those things in time.
If
with
you didn't start out
nanotechnology.
crazy, obviously, if you didn't suffer traumas and things.
Yeah.
We no longer need to eat animals. We
don't
no
need to
longer.
sleep.
There's just so many different
Have sensory
benefits to
sex.
this.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so many animals are going extinct right now because of our, clamoring for resources. And it's we're going to get to a place
We're
where
killing
none of
bees.
the stuff that matters to us
no.
now
Really?
will matter then.
Yeah.
And we're going to look back and think, what the fuck did we do?
Yeah. We're gonna have
know.
to fix everything we messed up over all that time.
So we're just about out of time. Sam was nice to let us go. We're actually a little bit over. So where can people find you? What's going on right now? What have you got to promote? I mean, we spent the whole show promoting. So where can people find you?
You can go to humaitech.com.
Okay.
If anyone is interested in helping us spread the word, which we need as much help as possible, they can sign up to become an ambassador. And it's a real simple program. It's just kind of sharing our articles on social media. That alone is actually a big help because a lot of people are on social media. So, and if you are proficient in skills or in fields like neuroscience and biomedical and robotics, then we're still looking for more people to join the team up until March. So, yeah, humaitech.com is where you can find us, and on Facebook by the same username.
Awesome. Cool. And so both of you guys are found right there.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you need? I mean, the ambassador program is, if you guys want or need anything from somebody who wants to volunteer, that fills that void. Cool. Well, I think that's everything. This has been a super exciting show. I'm really, really happy to have Josh on the show. And we're probably going to have him back. We are also getting a daily show in March, so be sure to tune into that. Me and Sarah will be here from 2 to 3, 5 days a week.
Yeah, we will.
Blasting your eardrums with insanity.
Something like
All
that.
of my clones will be here, too. So just throwing it out there, we're going to have lots and lots of clones in the studio. Because
Should be a good time.
Yeah, it should be a really good time. So you can find Sarah at...
Sarah Beth Harris.
And you can find us at modernmailinc.com/radio. You can find me on Instagram at modern.mail or on Twitter at mail methodology. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe below. Please share with your friends. Okay. That's it for tonight, folks. Thanks for tuning in to Modern Mail Radio.
Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Modern Mail Radio with Jerod Zavistoski, right here on LA Talk Radio.